Carbon dioxide in the atmosphere are now higher than they have been in 800,000 years. The planet is getting warmer. The planet is getting warmer. The planet is getting warmer.
Rising sea levels will displace millions. Big cities will bake. Wildfires and smoke will damage lungs. Drought will destroy agriculture, and excessive heat will take more lives.
Bill Gates is now backing something called sun-dimming technology that would reflect sunlight out of the Earth's atmosphere, causing global cooling. Its scientists are testing that technology by spewing calcium carbonate dust into the atmosphere.
Bill Gates is backing the first high-altitude experiment of one radical climate change solution, creating a massive chemical cloud that could cool the Earth. It's called solar geoengineering, and it's highly controversial. It would look something like this. Thousands of planes would fly very high and use nozzles to inject millions of tons of light-reflecting particles into the stratosphere. It would create a thin chemical cloud of those particles around the whole planet, blocking some sunlight from reaching the surface. It would mimic a giant volcanic eruption, which we know cools the Earth.
Some Americans preparing for the future. As a result, retail experts say sales of bomb shelters are exploding. Bunkers, as sales of them have jumped by about 400%. More than 200,000 bomb shelters were sold all across the country.
Some of the clients who feel like the threat is imminent, and then you have the other clients who are starting to prepare and move forward.
Upscale sales at Rising S Bunkers, a company that specializes in fancy underground bunkers, have increased a whopping 700% this year. Actors, pro athletes, and politicians are all investing in high-end bunkers like there's no tomorrow. Literally. But maybe the most interesting customers on the list are the politicians. Not only are they making enough money in the field of public service to buy luxury bunkers, but they are making the bunker makers actually sign non-disclosure agreements. The politicians don't want anyone to know they're preparing for the end of the world.
One, they don't want people to know they have a shelter. They're worried about people knowing that they have a shelter. They're worried about one day the government coming. You see, it's actually against federal law to hoard up a certain amount of food. Yet these people are hoarding up 100 times more than what the federal law allows.
Already this year, the FBI has conducted more than 500,000 background checks of people in the tri-state seeking to buy guns. New York, with the most background checks, is up 43% compared to this time last year. New Jersey jumped more than 50%, and Connecticut is up 11%.
We have a problem now, Mr. Speaker, around the country, and it's in your old state of Georgia, it's in Virginia, it's in New Mexico, it's in Minneapolis, it's in Los Angeles. We've been watching what happened all last summer, and now we see what's unfolding here tonight, and get your reaction and how to best solve these problems. One of the things that shocked me over the summer was the utter denial of the news media. Joe Biden never mentioned the rioting that took place all last summer. We had 3,000 cops injured during that time. The tension's never higher, seems, in my lifetime than it is now.
It's real bad. It's sad when you can't walk out your house and you have to duck because you see somebody drive by shooting, you know, and they're not killing the person that they want. They're killing innocent people.
The world, you might not have noticed, is getting more dangerous very fast. So fast that last week showed us that there's now a new axis of evil, a fast-forming alliance between countries that don't believe in democracy, and they're aiming themselves, this alliance, at countries like ours that do.
All right, overnight, China warning the United States not to, quote, play with fire when it comes to Taiwan. Tensions are rising after Secretary of State Anthony Blinken said the U.S. is committed to defending the democratic, self-governed island.
And what is of real concern to us is increasingly aggressive actions by the government in Beijing directed at Taiwan.
My opinion is this problem is much closer to us than most think.
The Biden administration facing mounting pressure on the matter as tensions at sea rise.
Just last week were three very significant meetings that should scare us. The first of them, a meeting between the Russian and Chinese foreign ministers, where both attacked the United States, which Russian President Vladimir Putin then announced in a national broadcast as racist and genocidal. And this is Russia, which murders democracy activists, getting closer to China, a dictatorship which bans democracy completely. And both of them telling the West, your day is done.
diplomats or military experts had in fact expected. And yes, you're right, there's been a lot of talk about Russia doing things, but here they are actually implementing significant military maneuvers, heightening in the last months or so with the test and completion of tests in the months ahead of these new superweapons long advertised by the Kremlin head, Russian President Vladimir Putin, but often thought by US officials to simply be too terrifying to ever be possible.
U.S. defense officials say this is the real deal. Russia test firing its new high-speed hypersonic missile, a missile that the U.S. military currently cannot defend against. Russian President Vladimir Putin pulling no punches on his intent.
The new avant-garde missile system is invincible against today's and future air and missile defense systems of the potential enemy.
Shanahan warns the U.S. needs to be able to detect the fast-flying missile much further away than current radar systems can handle. It's capable of carrying a nuclear warhead. It flies up to 20 times faster than the speed of sound. It can adjust altitude and direction to avoid detection. Putin says it's invincible. It's invincible. It's invincible.
This is the world we are now in. Dictatorships, terror regimes, autocracies, all coming together now very fast to resist the democratic West that is getting weaker. The shape of the next worldwide conflict is taking place in front of your eyes.
Where Russia seeks to violate the interests of the United States, we will respond. We will respond. We will respond.